The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by the Video Walls Sound Systems from Sound and Communications. SoundcomAV.com. Sound and Communications, right there in Pearl by Rick's Pro Truck and Muskelly Furniture. Video Walls, sound systems for your football stadium, your arena, baseball field. They've done it Power 5, G5, junior college, high school, you name it. And, of course, really cool video walls, whether it's Ingalls Shipyard and many, many other businesses. SoundcomAV.com. We welcome in our star, Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, and we're going to start with LSU instead of the NFL. Tigers coming off a tough one against Bama, but they have Florida this week. But we want to know about Jaden Daniels and concussion protocol. Mike, what's the latest on Jaden Daniels?
Really don't know too much more than what I knew Saturday night. I think we'll find out a little bit more today on Jaden. But, the way they treat concussions today, they're going to be real careful with this. And there are different levels of the concussion, too. So we didn't get much from Brian Kelly yesterday about his concussion situation. So I think we'll find out a little bit more today about it. But, man, for 3 quarters, it was what we all sort of thought it would be. And then the tip pass that turned into an interception and then him get knocked out sort of sealed the deal. LSU's defense was just plain awful. But we've seen it this year. It shouldn't come as a real shock to anybody who's watched LSU.
Yeah, Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So if you had to guess, he's out, right?
I'm really not sure. I'm going to be honest with you. I've heard it different ways. I do know one thing. He wants to play. I do know he wants to play, but, he's going to do what the doctors tell him to do at this stage.
Okay. So do you feel like 14 points is too many with LSU Florida this weekend? I guess it all depends on Jaden, right?
Yeah, it all depends on Jaden. And also, too, this is why LSU every week has been the only team in college football to hit the over every week this year in college football. Their offense has been so good and their defense has been god-awful. So that's a lot of points against a team in a rivalry game that has normally been pretty close. They've had some epic battles, no matter how good or how bad the teams between LSU, Florida. A friend of mine, Don Schwab, who played in the 60s. He later became a coach. And he said, first time I went to Gainesville, they told me, make sure when you get on the sidelines, keep your helmet on. And he said, I had no idea why until he said we walked out on the field and I could hear this ping, ping, ping. They actually were throwing like nickels, dimes, pennies at the players. This was mid-60s. And they had one player that actually, man, he was a star running back for LSU in the 60s, Joe LaBruza. Joe said I left the game with about $2.80. But, go. Times have changed, but, it is what it is. They've had some really, really epic games between these two teams, and I suspect it'll be another close game.
Oh, yeah, it could be fun. All right, so where are LSU people right now? I mean, Brian Kelly's just in year 2, but y'all are so used to winning, especially since Saban. Even Les won pretty big, and your good friend Coach O found the lightning in the bottle that year. Are people still showing patience, or is the patience wearing thin? What's going on down there, Mike?
I think if you said this before the season and I told you what happened, the expectations were met and exceeded on offense. I don't think anybody thought you'd see an offense like this. That we thought it'd be good, but not this good. Defensively, the disappointment has been the lack of development of their front seven players. All these defensive linemen who were highly recruited guys, you're not getting much out of. When you look across the board, okay, Makai Wingo, you get it because of the injury, and he didn't play last week. But the Mason Smith, Savion Jones, Quincy Wiggins, Deshaun Womack. What's happened there with these players? And, man, Omar Spates, who was an all Pac-12 linebacker, he's been out of position. If you watch the Alabama game, I mean, he looked like he was totally confused in that game. With Harold Perkins, it's either a big play or he's caught out of position. The one guy, week in, week out, man, he's been good. Greg Penn, the third. I mean, that linebacker. He's really played well. I think the frustration is, okay, all these 4- and 5-star recruit guys, what's happened here? Where's the coaching?
Wow.
Where, the team? Even Brian brought up after the game, because that's the television afterwards, and he was like, we were signaling in changes, they weren't getting it. Where's the alpha dog? Where's the leader on this defense?
Wow. Okay.
And so for Brian to point that out, again, he took credit, he took blame for the loss, but he also was sort of deflecting it too, saying, we knew what was going to happen. They weren't picking it up. Bo, they're going to put up with that a little bit, but I'm not sure too much longer. Brian, and I know he's a big Matt House guy, and you and I talked about this a few weeks back. He totally believes in Matt House, but, okay, it's a production league. You can't keep this up, and you can't con people that we're just going to come back with the same stuff. That's not going to work at LSU.
No, so all right. I think Brad White is unbelievable at Kentucky, and then you give him LSU players. Holy smokes. Durkin is good. He may not be great, but he's good at A&M. And LSU gets to kind of pick most of the time what they want. Golding, I'm not sure he would leave Ole Miss, although he would definitely get better talent. But Brad White, to me,
he is a Louisiana guy.
Oh, he's a Louisiana guy, Mike? Okay.
He sure is. No, I don't think he would leave Ole Miss, but he is a Louisiana guy.
Okay,
yeah,
so
he grew up in Louisiana.
Brad White, Durkin, there's others, but okay. Mike Detillier, LSU Saints insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. And Mike's right. For 3 quarters, that game was fantastic. And Jaden Daniels is an absolute dude. And I can't figure out the LSU defense. I agree with Mike, so they'll figure that out. I want to move on. I want to switch gears. I asked you about this last week. You and I agreed on this, the kind of eye rolling, the hardball Michigan thing. But just real quick, Mike, they're kind of acting like the SEC, which for me is entertaining because we're crazy as hell down here, as you know. And so with all the scandals and different things and the under the table stuff that happens on a daily basis and just how we operate, do whatever it takes to win. And so they've got a little SEC lighter fluid going through them up there. But this game has got so much more fire on it between Michigan and Penn State. Don't you think, Mike D? Because of the kind of sign stealing scandal or whatever it is going through Michigan right now in the Big Ten?
Yeah, it's elevated it. But, man, if you've seen Penn State's offense play and going up against that Michigan defense, good gravy. How James Franklin gets a pass at Penn State, I have no idea. Every time he's played in big games, he's been like, he's sort of a horse that is spit to bit. Okay, name me a Big Ten game that's really relevant that Penn State's won.
I can't think of one, and I agree with you.
Again, with the resources that he has, and every year he's complaining he doesn't have enough resources. He needs this. He needs that. He needs this. And he hasn't won any big game there. Ohio State, now, again, they are ranked number one, and God bless you if you voted that way. That's not how it should be done, because I don't think they're the best team in the country by any stretch of the imagination. But to me, Michigan is. They have the most talent on that football team. And yes, it is elevated because of allegations against Michigan. But, man, Michigan's going to manhandle Penn State. I see nothing where this game is going to be close.
The line is Michigan -5. And I think Mike D's on to something. Michigan's D, and J.J. McCarthy's the truth. That kid can play. In fact,
yes, he can. Yes, he can.
Go ahead.
Hey-Bear always teases me about this because every year I'll always take a shot. We'll do a show at the casino. I'll take a shot with a long shot Heisman guy. This year was J.J. McCarthy. I just thought with that lineup, now I know he's not going to put up the eye-popping numbers of a Michael Penix at Washington or what Jaden has done at LSU, but he could enter the deal and be undefeated with Michigan. And he's going to be in a spotlight game this weekend and when they play Ohio State. And JJ's done pretty well against Ohio State. So I think JJ is a very good football player, and he's gotten much better as a downfield passer. He trusts what he sees better. You could see in film with him, he trusts his eyes on what he sees to make that throw downfield. And he's a very good, very, very good player. And, man, they are loaded. Both. I mean, they've got SEC talent on that Michigan team. And I'm talking about big-time talent all across the board, offense, defense. This is the best Michigan team I've seen in a long, long time.
Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. That's the 11 a.m. game. So you got Michigan at Penn State. Now, let's go to Ole Miss at Georgia. Mike, who do you like and why? Saturday night in Athens.
I like Georgia. I just think we've seen the progression with Carson Beck at quarterback, and I think he's gotten into a groove. I wrote this and I said it before the season. If you don't catch Georgia early, you may have a difficult time catching them during the year. Defensively, they're not as good as they've been the last couple of years. How the hell can they be that good? I mean, they had more talent and depth than I've seen on most SEC teams throughout the last 25 years on those last 2 years they've had defensively. But they're still good defensively. They can run the football. They're huge up front across the offensive line. This is a very good Ole Miss team. And they're explosive out on the edges. So it'll put a lot of pressure points. But in these type games, this is where Georgia wins the battle in the trenches. And so I like Georgia in this game. I think it'll be a touchdown, 10-point win for the Bulldogs. And they sort of haven't they played almost sort of up and down to the level of their opponent this year?
Yes.
And it's, that's not normally what Kirby Smart teams do, but this is not, say, a rebuild team. They sort of reloaded a little bit, and at the most important position at quarterback. And you think about Stetson Bennett throughout his time frame there. Carson Beck got more talent than Stetson Bennett does. But Stetson, other than an SEC championship game, he always played big when the spotlight got hotter. So this is another test for Carson at the quarterback spot. But he's impressed me. Man, he's got a lot of talent, and he puts the ball on the money. They had Brock Bowers. I would say this would probably be a little bit bigger spread on the game. But now they've got to kind of find that go-to guy because they want to pump the ball to the tight end. They really do. They're built that way. And without Bowers, now they got to throw it much more to the receivers. But they've adjusted well. I give Bobo a lot of credit there. I think he's done a nice job without arguably one of the top 5 players in college football in Bowers.
I agree. Mike D. talking Ole Miss and Georgia. Mike, what do you think? Trey Harris, wide receiver at Ole Miss, who had been at La Tech, has had a coming out party under Lane. He's a senior. If he leaves, where would you think he would get drafted next spring?
I think he'd probably be a middle, what I would say an early middle, would probably be a 3rd-round pick. Here's what I remember about Trey. He was the quarterback at Como High School in Louisiana. You know who he was throwing the football to?
Who?
Malik Neighbors.
Wow.
Now, Malik transferred after his junior year, but at one time, Trey was the quarterback and Malik was the receiver. That's pretty damn good on offense, Hoss.
God.
You got that. And so, having watched Trey make the conversion from quarterback to wide out, I thought he was a good player at Louisiana Tech. But he wanted a place where it could expand him and give him better opportunities to showcase his athletic skills. And he's really worked hard as a route runner. That's where he's made a lot of progress. And so, he goes to Ole Miss where he knows they're going to throw the football. And, man, he's been dynamite. But he always
So he could come back.
He could come back. Now, again, I always tell this to guys, I'm never going to tell you to come out of state. That's up to you. And when they come to me, I always have a feeling I know it's kind of like a gambler who go to you and say, man, what do you think about this game? You already know who you're going to bet on. You just want to confirm that. I'm going to give you exactly where I think you'll go. And because sometimes the NFL, and they have this advisory board, but, man, they're not close on players a lot of times. He's not the biggest wideout around, but I wouldn't say he's a small wideout either. But he's so athletic. He's got an extra gear in space. Being a former quarterback, he knows how to make you miss in space.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still developing as a receiver. Because, again, he played quarterback in high school.
Sure.
All his life, until he got to Louisiana Tech, he was a quarterback. So he's an intriguing player. He really is. And to think about, in that class, he got away from LSU, and so did Keon Coleman, who's at Florida State today.
Woo.
He went to Michigan State and then transferred this year to Florida State. Go to show all kind of wide receiver talent. Because just think if LSU had gotten those 2 guys along with Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik.
Golly. All right, we're going to leave it there because
it's a wide receiver state.
Oh, your state is just loaded with it's filthy with wide receivers. Incredible. All right, well, we got Ole Miss, Georgia, and Michigan at Penn State. Actually, I think Tennessee and Missouri could be a hell of a game too. We've got some juice this weekend, and of course, great NFL slate. He is Mike D on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. And I got like a minute. Saints, Vikings, real quick. Mike, your thoughts?
Man, how much do you trust the Saints?
I don't.
At this stage. And, man, what Josh Dobbs did this weekend was remarkable. 2 days with the Vikings. He was going to be the backup, and he comes in there and pulls the game out for him. What has really hurt the Saints has been quarterbacks take off run with the ball. You think about what Bajent did to him this week, 70 yards rushing. Trevor Lawrence on a bum knee. He rushed for almost over 50 yards. Baker Mayfield making plays with his feet. Dennis Allen's got to kind of cure that, and we're going to ride the roller coaster with him offensively.
Yeah.
It's the only team in the NFL that can get 5 turnovers, and they get 0 points out of the last 3.
It's not funny, but it's funny. Oh,
but
goodness.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's unbelievable how wild this ride has been for the Saints. And the Vikings historically have given the Saints issues, but with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. We'll see with Josh, but God bless him. What a great story Josh Dobbs is.
He is. Perseverance, man. Thanks, Mike D. Have a great week, buddy.
Thank you, Bo.
At Mike Detillier on Twitter. Dudes everywhere. Radio, TV, Saints, LSU, casinos on the coast. Mike Detillier on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Hey, we're excited to welcome in Kim DeWeese Designs. It's a beautiful shop on Main Street in Madison, and they're having their holiday open house, Jason, tomorrow from 4 to 7. Join Kim DeWeese Designs, beautiful shop right there on Main Street across from Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue. So you know where that is. All right. Kim DeWeese Designs, beautiful shop. Big holiday open house tomorrow, which is Wednesday, from 4 to 7. We want you to go. We want you to shop local. Join them as they kick off the holiday season with light bites and libations. It's right up my alley.
Yeah.
And a curated collection of the best gifts and decor of the season as you get ready for the holidays and Christmas. So sip, shop, and feel the color. Kim DeWeese Designs, Main Street in Madison, holiday open house tomorrow, 4 to 7, right across the street from B3, Burgers, Blues, and Barbecue. Kim DeWeese Designs, open house party, 4 to 7 tomorrow on Wednesday. Shop local, and we'll love you even more than we do. Also, get out and vote today. Vote, vote, vote. You have that right? Go vote. I hope you will. And, well, I think we may keep Jason around another couple of days. We'll see.
Nice. Till Friday?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
okay.
Let's not go overboard.
All
Let's
right.
just get through Thursday.
I have a job tomorrow. That's cool.
Yeah.
All I need to know.
Let's get through Thursday. Jason cannot stop talking about Ole Miss versus Georgia, Jackson Dart versus Carson Beck, although they play on the same side of the ball. But anyway, I guess a better way, Jackson Dart against Will Muschamp.
Yeah, there we go.
Trey Harris against Kirby Smart. Saturday night, Fowler, Herb Street, Rebels, Dogs in Athens.